It's really this simple, folks. You design your graphic, print your graphic on the paper, on the transfer paper, and make sure that you have the right ink quality picked before printing. So you want to pick high quality. It works on the plain paper setting, and it works, the best thing of all, with the ink that's probably already in your printer. You don't need to buy a special printer and use sublimation ink. Nope. This uses your regular inkjet or laser printer. And then you can cut your graphic once it's printed with either scissors or one of the popular cutting machines like a Cricut or a Silhouette. And then once you've done that, you just need to remove the backing from your graphic, apply it onto the garment or the fabric that you want to apply it to. Use your iron or your heat press on a hard, flat surface, and voila, it's done. It's really that easy, and if you follow the instructions, you're going to be very pleased with this product and very pleased with the results. So let's go over this in more detail now, and I'm going to show you how I use this to make my hats, and I'll make a few more things along the way too. Hi everyone, I'm Tori Capes. I'm a certified milliner, and welcome to the Madcap Hats channel. So I'll have the links for all the products that I use in this video in the description below, but I am just thrilled with how well this turned out. I see a whole bunch of possibilities for you, whether you're making hats or any personalized gifts that you're making from fabric. You can actually enhance your design with your own designs, or say your grandkids' pictures, perhaps a picture of a loved one for a memory pillow, or a loved one celebrating a milestone birthday. And you can use this transfer paper to put your design on a whole range of things. So specifically, I'm going to show you hats today. My granddaughter made a memories of her trip to Canada pillow that she just took back to the UK. She did all the artwork herself. We had fun converting it into something that would transfer onto the canvas. And well, that will be another video because I'll share the pattern. It's a simple pattern that we used to get her started in her journey for sewing, because she is an absolute beginner. It was my pleasure to teach her how to sew while she was here. So without further ado, let's get started. Let me show you how you can do this. Look at all the things I have made. I've been busy. I am just loving this transfer paper. That's really not paper. It's really a vinyl, folks, but they call it a paper, so who am I to judge? So I have both versions. One is designed for light fabric, like this hat here, and the other one is designed to use with darker fabrics, and the difference being the light fabric becomes kind of translucent the longer time that you leave the heat on your vinyl as you're transferring it. And the dark version, the white stays white, but the light version, the white sort of disappears with the more time and more heat applied. So that is all that I can tell, and you want to make sure that you pick the right number. This is 2.0, so it's for the inkjet printer. I have no idea what those numbers mean, but just look at that little sticker that is on the listing wherever you buy it. If you're buying it online or in a store, just make sure that it matches the kind of printer you're going to use. It's so easy to use. There's a couple of things I'm going to go over though with you, because in some of the reviews, people give it 5 stars, and then some people give it less because they say the ink runs or it doesn't stay stuck on their garment. So I'm going to run it through lots of tests, and we'll see together just how well this works. But here's a hint for you. I am really impressed and happy. So you can use your regular iron. You can use a heat press or a heat press machine to apply this onto your fabric. The criteria is that your fabric should be at least 70% cotton. So today I'm using a blend of cotton and linen, and I'm using my cotton canvas to show you how well this works. Here is one that I printed out that I was going to cut with my Cricut machine, but the paper didn't feed well, so I've missed the top of the lines for the Cricut machine to read where this image is. So I'm going to be cutting this one out by hand, and basically you just can just sort of follow along the way the Cricut would if you were going to add a bit of offset or a border using your sticker settings. But you see, it's so easy to cut with scissors, and maybe that might be a better way if you want to make the most out of each sheet. It's 8.5 by 11 in the letter size, and I believe they have the A4 size in Europe. So I'll put the links below in the description for this paper. This is the only one that I've tried. I know there's other brands, and maybe you can say in the comments below if there's a brand that you prefer, that you've used this one and you like a different brand, and help us all out, because this is just amazing. So you can see it's printing what it appears to look like paper, but actually it is a vinyl, and I'll just show you in a minute. And I'm just rounding off my edges so the less likely for it to come off, like to sort of turn up over time and give a place where somebody could peel it off. We want a good adhesion, and you can see that this paper is actually, they call it a paper, but it's very stretchy. It is a vinyl, so you can see it's got that stretch there. So whatever the coating is on the top, it absorbs that ink really well. You're just going to let it dry for a few minutes before you actually go to iron it on to your project. And the package also comes with a Teflon paper. Now, I got a couple of really nice pieces of Teflon when I bought this pressing mat. So in the video, you'll see me using my heavy-duty Teflon paper, which is here. But I can show you how this can be applied using the paper that they provide. But before I do anything, I actually have to prepare my fabric so that I know I'm going to have a really good, clean adhesion with my vinyl when I apply it. And preparing my fabric means, first of all, pre-shrinking it because it's cotton. So I already washed this fabric. It's been pre-shrunk. And so my next step now is to make sure that any wrinkles are removed. I can use my regular steam iron for that job and give it a good once over with my steam iron. I just want to make sure that I don't leave any water behind. And if I do, I want to make sure that my band will dry before I add the vinyl. And then the third thing to do to prepare the fabric is just to remove any lint that might be in that area on top of your fabric where you are going to apply your transfer. So we want to make sure that there aren't any little bits of hair or thread or lint, anything that will get trapped in between the vinyl layer and the fabric layer. And so once we've done that, now we'll move on to the next step, and let's apply some vinyl. And I'm going to center my design at the front of this band. And here's our little bear in a canoe. I have printed my bear graphic on the light fabric version of the paper. And for both versions, you're going to peel off the paper backing, leaving behind a fairly substantial piece of vinyl. You'll notice it doesn't stick to itself, so it doesn't really have a sticky back at all. So it's really easy to set it in place. It's very forgiving that way. And so I've centered my bear design at the front. And because this is the light fabric version, what I'm hoping to achieve is a fairly translucent transfer where I'm left with a very good, sharp black line, my graphic in black on my natural canvas. And I'm using my heat press, which I love. And this is a 10 by 12 version. It's AST&T. And what I like about this heat press is it has a memory inside. So I've got my settings at 335 and I'm going to start off at 15 seconds, but you'll see I'm going to play around with this timing till I get it just right. But my heat press will remember that setting. So if I turn it off and it goes cool tomorrow when I turn it on, if I just hit that temperature button, it will go back to this setting, which is great, or the last setting that I had it at. So it has a memory for your last setting. And so I'm going to now take a look at my transfer, and I can still see it's not quite as translucent as I want. That range of time suggests that I can give it another blast of heat because I want to get to the point that I got to when I first experimented with this, and we were using these really long times because we read it wrong. My granddaughter and I were actually pressing for 140 seconds on her pillow. And so we know that it didn't damage the vinyl. And in fact, it made that white area more translucent. So that's what I'm after here. And I find this product very forgiving. I guess only time will tell how long these transfers will last. But here we go again. We're going to give it another shot. And it's just a matter of experimenting and finding the right time and the right temperature for whatever project it is that you're working on. But for me, I'm finding longer pressing with the light fabric version is good for me to get the results that I want. So there's my bear after 30 seconds at 335 degrees Fahrenheit. The leaf behind the leaf has still got a little cloudiness to it, so I'm probably going to try some more heat on it. After all, I did go up to 140 seconds when my granddaughter and I were working on her pillow project and on my sample hat that I'm going to wash in a few minutes. But here's one that also got 140 seconds, and you can see there's no yellowing. It's been over a week now since we did this one, and it still looks fine. So I'm not too worried, I guess, about the length of time. I don't think I'd do more than 140 seconds, that's for sure. And I don't think I needed to do that much. So time is money when you're doing this for your small business. So I'm going to experiment a bit with different times. And the bear here is still fairly flexible. That vinyl doesn't go on stiff. It's still a soft band. It's got a little bit more body, but it's a really lovely product. So now if we're going to try and get that other transfer on, and I'm going to experiment more with the time. So what I'm after is it to be translucent enough so that I can actually see some of that seeding from underneath the vinyl right through to the fabric. So the fabric has got some seeding in it, little flecks of fiber. And I want to be able to sort of see that if possible, with, of course, not damaging my vinyl or my hat band. So I'm going to start at 30 seconds, and I'll just keep playing until I find the right setting that makes that cloudiness, that sort of cloudy hue disappear. All right, I can see the seeding. And that is pretty darn good. It's pretty much melded right into the fabric, which is what I want. I have an amazing transfer here. I'm really pleased with that. So let me go back and I will just finish off my bear in the canoe. Give him another 30 seconds. Because once I sew this onto a hat, it's too late for me to really fix the setting of the vinyl. Some of the vinyl will be sewn into the bottom of my hat here. I've brought this pattern down so that it will disappear in the seam at the bottom, and then it won't be affected by any seams at the top. And that has really done a nice job. I'm very pleased with that. So for me then, and maybe for you, if you're making hats, the sunblocker hat in particular, and you're using a medium weight fabric, a canvas, or a duck, something that has a fine weave, an 8-ounce cotton canvas with a fine weave, and 90 seconds at 335 degrees Fahrenheit seems to be the sweet spot for me. All right, so remember at the beginning of the video, I was talking about the dark transfer paper for dark fabrics. And so what the difference is that with the dark paper, the white stays white. There's no disappearing when you add heat. You know, you've got a pattern, an image that maybe you want to go right to the border. I used my Cricut to cut this out. I got a little carried away with this one. It's very intricate. Some of these pieces are so tiny, and yet the Cricut just did a bang up job cutting this out. I used tweezers to help me just put this down onto the fabric. And then I used 60 seconds at 325 for this really lovely little collection of daisies. And I'm really pleased with this. So you can use the dark paper on light fabric if you want to maintain white in your design. The light fabric version really reminds me of silk screening when it's translucent like this. Whereas the dark fabric version is more like a vinyl. But, you know, it's really adhered very well. It could almost look like a digital print on your fabric as well. So they both have very unique qualities. And so it's just a matter of what the look is that you're after. So I have a sample hat that I made when my granddaughter and I were working together, her on her pillow, me on my hat, and I haven't washed it yet. So I'm going to give it a wash, and let's answer probably the most important question is, how does this vinyl stand up under the pressure of being washed? And the instructions say that we should wash in cold water and wash after 48 hours of setting our vinyl transfer on our fabric. So I have a hat here that I've done that with. I have just washed it in cold water with my regular laundry load. I didn't do anything special to protect it except wash the whole load in cold water. And we're going to see how well that transfer holds up. The other thing I'm going to note is that I did make a little pouch here. I put some more vinyl on that pouch. My little pouch can be turned inside out. So I'm going to throw that into the wash now, as well as a couple of bands that I've prepared, because I think it might be better for me to wash the bands in the cold water, set the vinyl before I actually make the hat. So I'm still experimenting, but let's see how that works. I put interfacing on the back of my bands to prevent fraying, and we'll see how they hold up in the wash. But let's take a look at this hat that I've already washed, and I'm pretty pleased because I know that it turned out just beautifully. The hat's a little wrinkled, and that's why I think I'm going to be doing the bands separately before I actually start sewing the hat, and then I can press the bands back into that perfect wrinkle-free state. And those heat transfers will already be set with their cold water wash, but I'm going to do that next. I'm just going to throw those pieces into the wash, but look at this hat. It turned out beautifully. There's no running. The transfer is all intact on every edge. There's no coming apart from the fabric at the back. It just, the black is still very intense and vibrant. And I'm just so pleased with this. This is cold water wash with regular laundry soap and just a regular rinse. And it's still wet, so I'm going to just let it air dry and help to pull out some of those wrinkles as well. That is what my hat looks like after washing. So washing test number 2, folks. So we're going to put our little pouch into the wash, and I'm turning it inside out, just like the instructions say. If you were doing this on a t-shirt, you would turn the t-shirt inside out to wash it. And I'm putting my bands into a little garment bag, and I've sort of folded them with the right sides together, just loosely, and into the wash they're going to go. I'm really curious to see how this dark fabric version with the colors, my daisies, turns out. So I've got them in with a regular load of wash. It's going to be a cold water wash. My garment bag, they're just slightly damp still. So the idea is once you wash them in cold water, you want to let them air dry. So dry flat, don't tumble dry. And it looks just beautiful, just like my hat. There's no bleeding in the black. The black is still vibrant. and my color transfer has no signs of lifting up anywhere. Even these little delicate pieces are still firmly attached to the fabric. I'm not sure that I would do a design so delicate as this going forward, especially if I was going to sell the hat. I worry a little bit about that, but they are still on there. They're not coming off. So this is a really good result. And let's see how our hat bands turned out. So for me, the trick will be in how they dry and whether I can get them looking like new again before I start to use them in a new hat construction. Well, my bands are all right. It looks pretty good. A little wrinkly. A little bit of water still on the vinyl. I don't know if you can see that. So we're just going to let them dry and we are going to try and press them. So my final thoughts on this product. Well, my thoughts are all good thoughts because for me, everything worked out perfectly. I think that if you're troubleshooting though, if you buy this and say your print art is vibrant, then you want to make sure that you're printing on the paper in the high quality print setting. And you can find that in the properties box of your printer. You also want to make sure that you buy the right paper for your type of printer. So you'll see on the pictures of the listing that it'll say inkjet/laser. If you have an inkjet, just buy the inkjet version. And I've used these two, the dark 1.0 and the light 2.0. So these are the two that I'm recommending because these are the ones that I'm using and that I've found really easy to use and the results really satisfactory, like above satisfactory. I'd say the results were excellent for what I was expecting. Now, the price point is also really, really reasonable. I bought my first package on sale for $8 Canadian. I think I got a coupon for $5 or $6 off. And then the next batch that I bought, they were $15 Canadian. There's 10 sheets in a package. So, there's a range from 80 cents to $1.50 for a sheet. And really from one sheet, you could get two quite large transfers for a hat. So, I mean, that's a pretty good rate of return on customizing a hat for my business. And, I could make hats for clubs, or, for sporting events. I could make care labels for garments and bags if I wanted to say that this fabric I'm using is, 70% cotton and 30% linen. And I needed to have that in order to sell in a certain country or a state or a province. Then I could make care labels as well using little scraps of fabric and printing out, a little care label on a sheet. Maybe you get 30 on a sheet and then just press them onto your scraps of fabric, finish the edges with pinking shears, and you have a really sweet designer care label that people will remember. And to press my bands out after I let them dry, I just used my steam iron and I just went around the edges of the vinyl. I didn't go back over the vinyl with heat because I didn't want to disturb this transfer. And so I just managed to take out the wrinkles from my cotton, and it was so easy. I'm going to be able to use these to make a hat, but this is already washed, so I don't have to worry about the ink maybe not adhering well and me not knowing and the customer taking it out in the rain and having it run all over the place. No, that's not going to happen. These now have been treated. They're ready to use, and nothing happened. The color is vibrant. The vinyl is still adhered exactly as it's supposed to be. So I'm a pretty happy milliner here, folks. And I have no problem recommending this. This would be fun to do with your kids or your grandkids. It's just so easy to use, and I just can't wait to make all sorts of things. So that said, I'm going to say goodbye for now. And I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you have a minute, just give the video a like. That really helps our YouTube algorithm. Also, if you have a minute, leave a comment. What would you use this for? What are you planning to make? Are you planning to even try this? I mean, I love it. It's great. Thank you so much to our video producers. They're our channel members. You're supporting this channel. We are so grateful and so humbled. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are Madcap Hats there. We always love super thanks, and they are gratefully accepted. Like and subscribe to the Madcap Hat channel. We are here for the hats and the accessories and the fun. So I am Tori Capes, the certified milliner. I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.